So the Victorian Heart Hospital, this is Australia's first hospital dedicated to cardiac care, and there is a significant need in our country given that 1 in 4 deaths are related to cardiac health or poor health. The building's home to a world-leading research team that were previously squeezed into a very undersized department in a much larger hospital, and so this really allows this world-leading team to do what they do best. Slight delay in the button pressing.
Is it working?
There we go. This is Dr. Ian Meredith. He's a Melbourne surgeon, and around 10 years ago he was the first to implant a replaceable heart valve without open heart surgery, and this particular model of care has just transformed cardiac treatment across the globe. So he's a remarkable surgeon. He advocated for this building on the back of that achievement. Next is Sarah Williams-Goldhagen. Oh, skipping a little bit. Let me catch up. So the building's located on the Monash Clayton campus. You can see it's sort of on a green edge. It's surrounded by sports fields, lots of Australian native trees and remnant wetland. It's also sitting at the centre of what is fast becoming a new biomedical research precinct in Melbourne, and this area of the city is already the largest employment cluster outside of the CBD. So this is a campus that's under transformation. This is Sarah Williams-Goldhagen. She's author of Welcome to Your World, and at the commencement of the project we had Sarah lead a large workshop with a big range of stakeholders to really talk about how the built environment impacts our experience, and we certainly used that conversation in our stakeholder engagement from there. At the centre of this hospital is a circular courtyard, and this is reminiscent of the medicinal courtyard at the University of Padua, which was established in 1545. We had this idea that we'd have this green space at the heart of the hospital. You can see that otherwise that is a very rational and rectilinear floor plan, and as it must be when we're working within the constraints set by the Victorian Health Building Authority. The circular courtyard is contained by these sort of two semicircular forms, and we have a perforated screen that protects those interior spaces from that western sun. And this slide shows the courtyard connecting back out to those sports fields, so it is very much connected with the university campus. The arrangement of the building is very straightforward. At ground level we have, of course, the reception spaces, but otherwise they're dedicated to the outpatient and health clinics. Above that there's an entire floor dedicated to research, and this is one aspect that makes this building really very unique. Above that are 2 floors of clinical spaces, and above that again 3 floors of patient wards with just under 200 beds all up. Here we have the ground floor plan, and you can see the building is set in green. It sits between these 2 rows of well-established trees. The patient drop-off is at the bottom of the slide, and the majority of the car parking is in basement level, so we've been able to retain a lot of the green that foregrounds the building. Here we've just stepped inside the front door. It's a very direct and easy access to the main reception point, but you can also see right through to that courtyard, and that courtyard becomes an orienting device regardless of where you are in the building. This strategy of connecting the interior to exterior green spaces continues throughout the building. So a whole floor dedicated to research. This has a large number of laboratories, but also a lot of research space and learning and teaching space. So we do see undergraduates in this building too. But just to give you a bit of a flavour for the kinds of things they're doing here, this is Georgia Brooks. She's holding an artificial heart that she's fabricated, and she's a final year bioengineering student. She's just recently been over to Texas with this heart to join a medtech competition that's happening over there. This is Jeff Allison, and he has the world's first totally leadless physiologic pacemaker system, and so this remarkable research team just continued to make these advances in cardiac care. 2 levels above clinical, dedicated to clinical. There's a series of catheter laboratories. These are laboratories that where they perform less invasive procedures, so it might be going through an artery to insert a heart valve. The patient is awake, although sedated, and it's a heavily screen-based and digital process, and so these rooms are necessarily light-locked. But once these patients move out of those spaces, they move into these recovery spaces that are flooded with natural daylight, do have views out to those green spaces. The operating theatres have windows. There's very few examples of this, despite how straightforward and simple this might seem. But this allows the clinical teams who work in these spaces for many, many hours at a time just a little bit of relief and connection to the natural world. And that connection to natural world happens in the circulation spaces also. Here we have the patient wards, 3 floors. These rooms are set up so that they can be intensive care rooms, and so this minimises the movement of the patient through the hospital. Again, it's a very warm, natural palette of materials, and there are views out over the playing fields. The strategy for sustainability is to use very efficient building services systems, but the envelope is passive house-like in its approach, so it's extremely well sealed and extremely well insulated. Facade materials are low embodied carbon, a mix of terracotta and steel. So these weathered steel screens are folded into the pattern of an echocardiogram. They span from floor to floor, minimising the material behind. A few different panels are rotated and combined in different ways to achieve a high degree of variation. This steel material in combination with the terracotta materials softens the building, connects it to nature, but it also serves to break down the mass of the building. And here we have the building as you might approach as a patient. That's it. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.